Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickinson from Dubbo Regional Council.
$93.5 Triple M, it is Jodi and Matho for breakfast. Joe's, we're joined by the man himself. He's already got his robes on. He does that for the interviews. Skills are very important. The Mayor of Dubbo, Matthew Dickinson. Good morning, Matthew. How are you?
Wet, although you guys like the wet, don't you?
Yeah,
well, Jodi does.
I love a rainy day.
I don't mind listening to it.
That's
It's very
right.
relaxing.
It's rainy day is good as long as you're inside, but if you're outside,
right.
not so much fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm always inside. So
Speaking of days that are outside and fun, but usually a lot warmer, Australia Day, the dates for Australia Day, I'm assuming for the ceremonies, for the citizenship, they're being talked about again for 2025. Can you fill us in?
Sure. Now, the most important thing I can say here, Jodi and Matho, is Council is not trying to change the date. We recognise that the 26th of January is Australia Day. It's been recognised by all states and territories since about 1946 as Australia Day, recognised across the nation as a public holiday in 1994. We don't have the power or the inclination to change the date, but we have, from the Australian Citizenship Ceremonies Code change that was done a couple of years ago, the ability to have the ceremony up to 3 days before or 3 days after Australia Day. And that's what we've recommended from our committee meetings to go through to council meeting on the 25th of July to say we should have the Wellington event on the Friday night, the 24th of January at 6:30pm, the Dubbo event on the Saturday night, the 25th of January at 6:30pm, and then Australia Day, 26th of January. You can please yourself. You can take advantage of the day, do whatever you like, because the public holiday next year is the Monday. So that's our current recommendation to our council meeting, but we really welcome feedback from the community to tell us what they think. And one of the things that was brought up in the debate about this was the fact that the Australian of the Year, the major award you can win as an Aussie, is done or named at a ceremony the night before or probably the afternoon before as a twilight event. The 25th of January each year is when the Australian Citizen of the Year is named by the Prime Minister. So it's not that unusual to have a twilight event.
No, I think it's all getting confused. You're not talking about Australia Day. You're talking about the citizenship ceremonies that happen around Australia Day.
We're talking about the whole ceremony. So where we have the various award winners, where we have the citizenship ceremony, where we have our ambassador. So the event that we have associated with Australia Day, which the last 2 years we've had that on the 26th of January in Dubbo, but as a twilight event in Wellington. And that's been met with mixed reactions. Some people love it. Some people think it's a great time of day. Some people are horrified that we've taken it away from the 26th of January. So this is the process we're going through again for next year.
yeah, I think it brings more people down, having it on a different day than having it on the actual Australia Day, because everyone kind of does their own thing for Australia Day. So I think it brings more people down for it.
In particular, next year when you've got a long weekend. So the Friday night, I think, would be very successful in Wellington when you've got that event on the Friday night, then you've got the long weekend, you finish work on Friday, you go down to Australia Day, have a wonderful time there, look at the citizens, the various people that have won awards, celebrate what it is to be an Aussie, how fantastic is it? And then you've got the 3 days to go and do whatever you want to do, go to the dam, go skiing, go and do what you want to do over that long weekend.
Yeah, a citizenship ceremony involves giving thongs and an esky. Now, tell us about the React Centre. What's that all about? Never heard of it. You're going to have to fill me in.
REACT stands for Renewable Energy Awareness and Career Training Centre. Now, the Minister, Penny Sharp, was in Dubbo and she made some announcements here about some money. We're talking about $128 million approximately for the 4 communities that are going to be impacted by the Central West Arana Renewable Energy Zone. So you've got Warrumbungle, you've got Midwestern, you've got Dubbo and Upper Hunter. And that money is going to be used in a variety of ways. But what they're very keen to do is see money spent on something that's going to deliver long-term benefits in our community. And the REACT Centre is one of those. The idea for the REACT Centre was I started thinking about things like the Parkes Telescope. You've got a visitor centre there. 100,000 people a year go through that. Fantastic. Snowy Hydro Scheme. 150,000 people go through their visitor centre. So having a REACT Centre and training centre in Wellington would be where we'd propose to place this particular facility. All these 6,000 people that will be working on our renewables over the next 7 years need to have training. They need to be able to be trained up to work on site. At the moment, most of that training is done in Victoria. So why wouldn't we do it in New South Wales, and why wouldn't we do it right in the middle of the first renewable energy zone? But then after that training finishes, after that pulse of training, a visitor centre where school kids can come along, visitors come along. My plan is that we have 100,000 visitors a year going through this centre. That would fundamentally change the economy of Wellington. Now, they didn't announce, when Penny was here on Monday, she didn't announce that she will fund that, but talked about the funding for these type of facilities, things that will inject things into the economy long term. So there's applications are opening up for that. They've got the rules around that. We certainly will be putting in some form of application for the React Centre along with other things.
Yeah, okay. So, and I have another, I guess, a question for, my head's gone out of my head.
It's okay. That's all right.
Towards the track O'Reilly, there's 300 metres has been, redone, resurfaced, and we're looking at renaming the 300 metres.
That's certainly a resolution from council that we looked at the concept of renaming that part. Now, this is the part down behind Blythe Street, down along from Church Street. If you go down Church Street, you've got that section there. Now, that's not just resurfaced, that's obviously been made wider. It's a shared pathway. The idea here is that we want to basically get to the point where you've got the whole events precinct there on Ollie Robbins Oval. So we'll keep going down that path, but that little section of path typically is being called the Legacy Pathway. Now, that doesn't sound that exciting for a name, and that was related to the actual program that we got the money from. So we've got a renaming concept out there at the moment. We've got a short list of names there. Voting is open until the 29th of July for those various names that have been shortlisted. If you go to Your Say, you'll find those names there. Please go and vote for those names and have a look what you think of them.
I'm a little bit surprised Jodi and Matho for breakfast path is not there, though, Mr. Mayor, but that's okay.
Haven't you looked at the shortlist? Number 1 was Jodi, number 2 was Matho, number 3 was Jodi and Matho.
That's good. That's all I like.
I like it.
Mr. Mayor, we thank you so much for your time. We know you're a busy man. It's very appreciated, and we'll catch up in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Mayoral Memo with Matthew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.